Wednesday 3.
We had Wednesday 1. He came from one of the toughest areas in Phoenix, most especially the North Side.
On the defense, talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to mortality,
Different.
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because this guy gets off you.
And then I go to bed every night like, man, I promise you that. What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here, and we are back in the cave. As you guys know, I've been in enemy territory, and Kelly K9 was hyped up. We got him back on the positive spin of the Cowboys, and he's a little sick. So he must have been partying too much. He must have been drinking too much. I don't know what he's doing. But my main man, G-Reg, is my sidekick, so he's gonna be here. Good time. We're gonna have a good time. So, Greg, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Really good. I'm feeling real positive right now.
We're gonna get into it, but before I do, we'll do some quick housekeeping. First of all, if you guys are new to the channel, just checking it out, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe. Definitely appreciate the support to Cowboys Nation. Had a couple milestones that happened in the last couple days. We hit our next goal, which is 4,000 subscribers. So we're 993 subscribers away from 5,000. That's the next goal. If we get there before the season, I told you guys I'm going to give away 2 of my club seats. So make sure if you guys hadn't subscribed yet, do it. And then we surpassed 575,000 views. Not too bad for the little channel that's just kind of getting started. So it's a big thanks to obviously you guys who have been subscribing and listening, supporting the channel. It's big thanks to my man Jimmy Dee, obviously Kelly K9, my man Greg. I mean the whole Cowboys Cave family, the tailgate parties. I mean all that kind of stuff. So definitely it's a great moment, and definitely thank you. That's all I can say. What are you saying about that, Greg?
Man, appreciate it. That just shows that we got some serious Cowboy fans out here dedicated, and they come in for the call. What
now,
up?
Usually, Guts is in the house. We got the crew out, and usually it's a negativity, man. The negativity probably is 80% of those views. I don't know, man. When the Cowboys are doing bad, people just come out of the woodwork to either stomp on us or bitch about us. It's one of the others. There's no in between. But one other thing I wanted to ask you, Greg, is, I did this before this George Pickens signing, because I was like, Vegas is a little funky. Vegas is being a little funky. They only had the Cowboys at 7.5 wins. That was the over-under. Mm-hmm. So I went ahead, and you guys can see, I put the proofs in the pudding. I put $300 down on the Cowboys to have more than 7.5 wins. It pays out $615. Then we get the George Pickens trade. So now we got a legit wide receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb, which we're going to get into with you guys. But what do you think, Greg, and you guys in that audience? I mean, this bet's got to be looking pretty good as long as we stay healthy, right?
Man, that is an easy bet right there. I don't know. Vegas, they did that probably because we got these draft picks. They were unknown. We got a bunch of people hurt
before the draft. This was before the draft.
We got a bunch of people hurt. Yep. They don't know who's coming back. And they saw who was leaving, but they didn't anticipate. Remember, I said Jerry's got something cooking. I kept saying it. Everybody was laughing at me. I said Jerry's got something cooking. He got this big code out. The code has been broken. Pickens in the house, and that bet is sure money right there. That's sure money.
I mean, I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good. I mean, I thought they'd win more than 7.5 without this, but I think it pretty much, as long as they're healthy, it pretty much. I mean, that's gonna be a done deal. So I'm excited about that. I get some money back because last year my heart was broken by the Cowboys with all these injuries, but What do you guys, let's talk about it. I mean, this is the move. This is what we've been asking for. So I want to get you guys in the chat to give us your opinion. And I saw a couple comments already about, now some people are hating on Pickens all of a sudden. He was a top receiver, and now he comes to the Cowboys. They're trying to point out anything they can be to be negative. But that's what negativity sells with the Cowboys. But What was your first reaction to the move? Did you hear about it because it was going on the night before, and I was sitting there waiting in the hotel room watching TV, waiting for it to drop? It didn't, and then lo and behold, first thing this morning, that next morning, Adam Schefter drops the tweet saying it's going to happen. So what was your reaction, Greg?
Well, see, remember in our last show together, there were some rumors, and everybody was saying, man, it'd be nice if we can get Pickens. And there were rumors that Dallas might be looking at Pickens. And those rumors came out to be true because nobody can keep a secret in D-Town. And when the news came out, it was texted me by one of my dear friends who's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. She texted to me, and I said, no, you got to be kidding me. When I saw it, I said, oh, snap, we got our bookends. And the good thing about it is all the haters on Pickens, what they don't realize is Pickens still put up the numbers and helped the Steelers get in the playoffs the first 2 seasons he played with bad quarterbacking.
Terrible quarterbacks.
And up until he got traded, he never had any real quarterback play back there, but he was still putting up the numbers, still playing the game. So all those folks that talked about his attitude and stuff, you got to consider everything that was involved. A second-round pick, young, who can play the game. He was helping them tremendously. Everybody was talking about him, but the quarterback play was suspect, and it wasn't consistent. And that's why, as a young man with his talent, that's why he was kind of upset. But he's coming to Dallas. He said he wants to help change the culture. He's humbled. He knows he's with a team that has a surefire quarterback. He likes Dak. He said he's smart, intelligent. He is ready to be a Cowboy. He's overwhelmed, and he wants to help change the culture. And I'm telling you, if you thought Pickens was on fire with Pittsburgh, wait till you see him in action with us.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And let's just call it for what it is. This team is lacking a little bit of attitude, lacking a little bit of, what Pickens has. And I know he's gotten, shoot, it was in the Cowboys game. Him and Jay Lou went at it. And, we need a little bit of that. We need a little bit about that fire. I mean, I've been saying it all along. I mean, we know, back in the day, people forget that, this Cowboy team, you had some questionable characters on the team. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm a fan of the Hurricanes. You are too, Greg. We know how it is. Sometimes, you got some guys that might hit a little after the whistle or might do some questionable things, taunt some players. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So we need a little bit of that on our team. And I'm not comparing this to Haley by any stretch. So don't even start, commenting what I say. But, these are the kind of things you heard about Charles Haley, right? He's a problem. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. No issues in Dallas. No issues. It's about the leadership around him. I hold the players accountable, and the coaches are going to be accountable to make sure that they get George on the path that they need in the locker room. I don't think there's going to be any issues. I think, like you said, Greg, he's got something to prove. He's not going to sign a long-term deal. He wants to play it out, which I commend him for that. Mm-hmm. And some people are saying, oh, well, this is just a rental. That Cowboys are, it's a one-year thing for him. And it came out in the media, and I'm pretty sure it's true, but I'm no expert in it. But if he were to leave, let's say the Cowboys didn't re-sign him after this year, just didn't work out. The Cowboys, if he signs with another team, the Cowboys end up getting like a comp pick in the third round for him. So it's like there's nothing lost, nothing gained. But I think that he's young, and this offense is young. I saw someone in the chat talking about it. I mean, this offense is I think everyone's under 30 except for Dak. I mean, the whole offense is young. I mean, this is an offense that could put together some years if they stick together. So I'm excited for the move. Does this make you feel better about the draft? Because I know a lot of us were playmakers early. I preach playmaker.
Yep,
Does this make you feel a little bit better about the direction? Now you see the vision, because they probably had this in the works already before the draft.
Yeah, they did. It makes me feel a whole lot better, because during the whole draft, what I kept saying was I wanted a running back. You kept saying you wanted a wide receiver first, and we didn't get a wide receiver. And I said they must be going to free agency, because there's no way they're going to get a receiver that's undrafted. They must be going to free agency. But that big coded secret thing that was going on that I was talking about, that's what was happening. That's what was happening. The Pickens thing. And Pickens has made us competitive on the even keel of every team in the NFC East. Every team in the NFC East has bookend wide receiver playmakers. And the best thing about this is Pickens is coming in to play. We got 30 new players considering the draft, the draft picks, the free agents picks. Man, we got a whole lot of new energetic players, young, vibrant, ready to go. Dak's going to be healthy. I'm telling you, last year we thought we had the dynamite, and we had a lot of people hurt. This year, a lot of people don't know what to think about it because of all the rookies we got, top grade rookies, and the free agents, and then we lost quite a few. So it's like, well, what is it? Pickens comes in, and we're like, we got all the keys to the puzzle. We got all the pieces to the puzzle. Now we just need that culture to form in the locker room. And look what Schotty did. Schotty put Parsons next to Dak in the locker room. I love that move, because you got the defensive leader, the offensive leader right next to each other. And when those two can talk in the locker room, imagine what Parsons is telling Dak, what Dak is telling Parsons, instead of having your buddy sitting next to you on the same offensive or defensive side. Schotty is going to change that culture. Pickens is coming in to help change that culture. These young running backs we got are coming in to play this ball and get it done. I'm telling you, everybody says every year, y'all say the same thing about the Cowboys. There's something really special about this soup this year, and the ingredients are all there.
I said this before. I'm a competitor, and I never go into any season not believing my team is going to win. Otherwise, why do I watch?
That's right.
So I've been saying it about the Canes. I say it about my Cowboys. I say if I play softball, if I'm playing checkers, if I'm playing chess, if I'm playing dama, I play to win. So I it's that easy thing that they can say, oh, here we go, it's Cowboys year. Well, damn it, I don't go out there to lose, man. And this team has given us obviously more optimism. It's given us, some more optimism, because offensive playmakers. This team was starving for offensive playmakers opposite CeeDee Lamb. Take CeeDee Lamb out of the picture. This team did not have guys that could break away, take it to the house at a moment's notice. George Pickens, since he's coming in the league, number one in catches over 25 yards. So that's playmaker. Mm-hmm. And then you get Blue, my boy Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could take it to the house at any time he touches the ball, out of the backfield, running the ball, whatever it is. So you added two bona fide, take it to the house playmakers on offense, along with CeeDee Lamb. Then you bring in the big dogs. You bring in the heavy hitters, Javonte Williams. You got Maffa. You got guys that can pound the rock. And now you get hopefully Jake Ferguson. Is there, and I don't want to leave Mingo out, and I don't want to leave Tolbert out, but doesn't it feel better to know that all the pressure of the offense isn't focused on those two guys, that one of them has to step up to be the wide receiver too? If Mingo plays to his potential on full off season, you could have three dynamic wide receivers. You throw Tolbert was solid last year.
Yes.
Now you got four, and then you get Turpin, another playmaker that can take it to the house. This offense is explosive. And the best thing, if you have a questionable defense, is have a damn good offense to at least go score if you have to. We'll get into defense on another show. I wanted to focus this show on the offense. But, I mean, seeing what they've got, looking at the playmakers, I mean, what kind of optimism do you guys have for this offense? Does this put all the pressure? Because the first thing that people said, oh, well, Dak's got no excuses now. This is, they got the playmakers. They got this. I mean, where are you at with this offense as a whole, Greg, and you guys in the chat as well?
Well, one thing is true. Dak doesn't have any excuses this year, because look at the offensive line that we acquired in the draft too. I said Jerry loves Tyler. He needs a Tyler on offense all the way around. He's got 3 Tylers on offense, but the offensive line is shored up. We're deep and heavy on the offensive line, and we got people to plug it. We got defensive linemen that can plug the hole and edge rush. But on the offense, we got everything we need. Dak will not have any excuses. He's got an offensive line to block for him. He's got reserves and backups on offensive line if anybody's injured, but everybody's going to be healthy. He's got a running back now that they're going to heavily rely on, and he's got 2 bookends where the defense has to play honest. They can't sit back and say, oh, man, you get Lamb, and I'm going to get Lamb. You get Lamb here, I'm going to get him on the top so we can double team, and we ain't worried about Tolbert and everybody else because Dak won't see him. Now you got to play honest. And then you got Mingo coming in. You got Tolbert coming in. And then you got Flournoy that everybody forgot. This second year for Flournoy, I think he's going to step out. He's going to step out on his own this second season because he's going to be a little bit more comfortable. Now, here's the sad thing about it. What do the Cowboys do with Vaughn and Lipke? That's going to be an issue because unless Vaughn is on special teams in some kind of way with Cavante, and Vaughn is able to produce, I think Vaughn and Lipke might be the odd man out. And Lipke might make it on special teams for running down on kickoff returns and stuff like that, like a Bill Bates. But this offense is ready. Now every team has to play our offense honestly. And we can go back to having a season like we had when we lost to Green Bay in the playoffs. But now we got some bookends that can juke like you can't believe. And here's the issue about Pittsburgh. What baffled me about Pittsburgh, not only did you let him get away at a low risk for us with a high value as a receiver, it shocked people because let him go. And I think Pittsburgh realized we don't have a quarterback. We don't know if Rodgers is going to quarterback for us. Even if he does, Pickens is still going to have a hard time getting that ball. We got Metcalf on the other side. And the biggest issue is Pickens' attitude will continue to go downhill because of bad quarterback play on Pittsburgh and that ambiguity about what is his role with a new DK Metcalf and Rodgers coming in and who knows who's the next quarterback is going to be. So the best thing for them was, okay, we can unload Pickens low, get somebody else, get a 3rd-round pick from Dallas. That made we end up getting on top of this deal, stealing a great one from Pittsburgh. And my Pittsburgh Steelers fan, she was like, what in the rickety ticketed was this? And as much as some of them talk about Pickens when he played for him, he's a diva. He needs to shut up. This thing. Soon as they find out he was gone, tears.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like they're going to get the receiver from Green Bay because Green Bay's going to have an odd guy out. It looks like Pittsburgh's probably going to go grab him. And I think Rodgers is going to end up there. There's really nowhere else for him to go. And Pittsburgh doesn't have any other choice. There's no other quarterbacks out there. So I think it's going to be one of those forced relationships. It's just going to have to be. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Pittsburgh this season because they've been consistent, with always 500 and above, kind of getting the playoffs. But they haven't – I don't think they've won a playoff game in like 8 years, 8 or 9 years. A long time. I don't know, how much longer, could they make a coaching change? Now, they're very rarely ever going to make a coaching change. They only have 3 coaches in the history of their organization. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tomlin and the Steelers because it was a big move. I mean, he was their number 1 receiver. I mean, you don't trade him away and then get really nothing for him at the end of the day. I mean, they got the 3rd, but I mean, that's not for a number 1 receiver. That's all day. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you make that. Don't even think twice. And I do think there's going to be a lot of receivers in the on the Cowboys roster that they're going to be odd guys out. I think Flournoy. I think he'll probably hang on. But you got Holden, right? I saw that name popping up. I mean, he's the kid from I believe Oregon, right? And I think Brooks is probably gone. You don't know what to. I think you may see. Call me crazy, but you may end up getting Mingo or Tolbert may be an odd guy out because they're only going to be able to keep so many, and maybe they're going to keep one of them because usually you like to keep a younger guy, right? You're grooming up. And if they get to a point where, Tolbert's going into his 4th year now, it's like, well, we know what we have in him. We don't know if there's a lot of upside. He could end up being an odd guy out, but they're going to lose some decent receivers. There's no doubt about it, but they definitely upgraded.
Yes,
they definitely upgraded. And it really leads me to the next topic is looking at this offensive line and looking at what they did in free agency and looking at what they did in the draft, getting the Thunder and Lightning. I mean, this team is built to run. I mean, this is an offensive line that is built to run the football. So I like what they've done at the running back position. I think getting Pickens is obviously going to help open up the run game because, like you said, teams aren't going to be able to stack the box with the weapons that we have now on offense. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the Cowboys' run game looks this year. And I got in a conversation with my man DMV just through Twitter, but he was not comfortable with these running backs. And he does great work. He's a great content creator. He's a friend, and I love his stuff and watch it all the time. I'll respectfully disagree because I think we have the running back. Do we have an RB1? No. But I don't think they need the RB1. I mean, how many teams have an RB1? They've got running back by committee. And I said it's going to be a lot like, back in the day, was it Julius Jones, Barber, and the guy's coach now I'm looking at is Tashard Choice. I mean, you're going to have those kind of running backs where each one has a special skill set, right? From the movie Taken, my man, a special skill set. And I think they're going to use each one. And to your point, talking about the running game, I think Vaughn and I think Lipke, unless they move Lipke and kind of make him like that hybrid tight end and don't carry as many tight ends, I think they're the odd guys out. And I think maybe Miles Sanders might be the odd one out too, especially if they keep Lipke or Vaughn because of special teams.
Well, and see, here's the thing. When we were looking at the draft, we were looking for playmakers. But what they were doing in the lab was saying, before we can put a playmaker behind there with the quarterback, we need to build a wall. We need to build something that's going to open up some holes for whoever's running back there. So if we go get a running back, but we don't build a solid line, all we're going to do is set them up for punishment. And it was smart how they did the draft because we kept seeing them, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebacker. And we were like, what is Dallas doing? But it was smart. Schotty got an opportunity to talk and get some influence in on this draft. And that's the great thing about it, because in the past, the coaches didn't have that much influence. Schotty said, this is what I need. First, I need to build a wall right up there in front of Dak. And then I need some people on that line that can hold it and open up some holes. Give me that first. And then you can, every time you give me one of them, go get you a defensive person to plug a hole that you need. But give me that first. And then go out and get your running back. And if you want to look at the wide receiver, we already know you got that little coded secret weapon going on about the Pickens thing. So we'll leave you alone about that. But they wanted to build us a line. And that's what they did. And once they got that offensive line, now they went deep and got a running back. And they can talk about they don't feel good about the running back because they're thinking we need someone like a Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. No, what we really need is somebody can open a hole for anybody. And this young running back that we got from Texas, if you open up that hole and give him 3 seconds of daylight, he can take it.
Yeah.
He can take it, and he's not in North and South. He can take it. He can juke you. He can take you off your knees. So I like the way when I look back at it after the draft and I try to sit down and study what they did, I realized they said in the lab, we got to get offensive line first. And then look at the offensive line we had last year that was a patchwork, had our Hall of Famers that were hurt. And then we had the rookies coming in that we were piecing here in the guard and putting him on the tackle. And it just wasn't working. And then Guyton was getting all these penalties. So no matter who we put back there, it really wasn't going to work. Now we got those young, big, fruitful boys that's ready to play on that offensive line, hold their ground. And we got BB and we got the ones from last year still coming in, and everybody's going to be healthy. Now put a running back there. Put somebody back there to run the ball now, see what's going to happen. And I bet you Schotty is going to integrate a bunch of running plays first. He's going to want to run by design until he can't, and then use our weapons in the slots, in the tight end, and the wide receivers, and then mix it up. Because everybody knows if you can run the ball, you can keep a defense on their heels. Because just when they play up in the box for the run, because you're being successful, boom, and look who we're going to boom to. 2 wide receivers that can get open through anybody. He's swiveling his head over here. The safety's like, well, which one do I pick up? I'm going high. I can't go low because you got 2 of them. And one of them beat me. I'm out. So I'm going to go high safety. They're both coming. Which one is going? No matter which one he pick up, the other one is still the road runner. You got road runner 1, road runner 2. And you see how Pickens catches the ball like an acrobat. He reminds me of Michael Gallup, how he can catch that ball the way he does. So the offensive line, I love it. I love every pick we got in this draft. Obviously, in training camp, pray tell, nobody gets hurt. In training camp is where we get to see them meld. We get to see what the offensive line can do. We get to see what Sam Williams is going to do coming back. And then we get to see what kind of culture is formed in training camp. So that among itself is going to be the telling message of how our offensive line operates and our running backs, how successful they are, because we got it now.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the point too is the depth that we've now have at the offensive line. I mean, you still got Hoffman, you still got Bass. I mean, you still got Richards. You know, they drafted a couple other ones. I mean, the beauty is last year created opportunity for a lot of these guys, and they're all young. So what they've done is they've built depth on offensive line. We've got depth at receiver. We got depth at tight end. We got depth at running back. And, oh, by the way, we got depth at quarterback because we got a young guy named Milton who's got some NFL experience, but he's young. As like Michael Irvin said, Dak Prescott, don't get hurt.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't get hurt. You might not come back.
Tony Romo.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it definitely feels different. And, you know, thinking about the Cowboys, and we've talked about it, and hopefully Kelly's feeling better. He's been hammered, and I know he's been upset, but he's feeling good. But this offseason, it's different. It's like you said, it feels different, but it not only feels different, but actions speak louder than words, right?
Right.
And they've had 4 trades, which they don't really do a whole lot of, right? They've made 4 trades this offseason. They've done a lot of free agency movement, more than they ever done in recent memory. Have they learned that you just can't, draft and develop? You just can't rely on these young guys and these young rookies to just continue to be to build your organization that way. You look at what Philly does. You look at what Kansas City does. You look at what, New England did in their Super Bowl runs. You look at what Seattle did in their Super Bowl. Denver teams. Yeah, you use a draft as your core, but you've got to get pieces in here that can fill the immediate need. It's like people are worried about George Pickens in 22. Who gives a shit? I care about now. I want to know he's on the team now. I'll worry about 26 when 26 comes around. We're talking now. We need help now. We needed help at wide receiver now, and they went out and did it. We needed help at running back now. They went and got Williams. They went and got Sanders. But, oh, by the way, they drafted 2 as well. So they've got options. It's not like we're living and dying with Rico like we did last year, or we're living and dying with our wide receiver 2. We're living and dying with what we have on our offensive line. They brought in, they signed veteran offensive linemen and drafted some. And, so does it look like that maybe they're figuring out that, guys, we got to change it up a little bit? 30 years, maybe now's the time to change it.
Yeah, well, what they're doing is they finally accepted and got away from denial. They finally accepted the fact that the recipe all the other teams were using during the season, plug and play, and then free agency get somebody, that we didn't do. They finally realized we need to do that. Now, unfortunately, they waited to the offseason to do it, but fortunately, they did do it. And we haven't had a trade like this for a premium receiver since Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Think about that now. Dallas typically does not do trades like this. The last time they did was Amari Cooper, and that was highly successful with Amari Cooper. Now they finally did it with Pickens. They must have said, wait a minute. Last time we did something like this wide receiver, it was Amari Cooper. Look how that turned out. Let's go back to that playbook.
That whole season.
Now in free agency off season, let's do what the other teams did during the season. And this time, let's go out there. But I'm going to tell you what I think really, really triggered all this was that blind focus, that targeted focus all season by everybody in the media, by every fan of every team, by everybody around the world on Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
I think that focus and targeted criticism of Jerry Jones directly to him by everybody in the world this season without any distractions, it all funneled directly to him. I think that hit him so hard last season, like he's never been criticized before. And through all that criticism, he heard stuff like, why don't you get people in free agency like the other teams do? Why don't you get people like Kansas City and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia does during the season? Why didn't you get a running back? Why didn't you do this? And then when he was in Philadelphia and those fans basically said,
I think was a changing point. That's what I think.
Right there, that sent him deep in depression. And all he had to do was follow the recipe last year. Now he followed the recipe this year. Good thing. But now this recipe isn't during the season where they can play right away. It's before training camp, and we gotta hope and pray none of these people get injured in training camp like Sam Williams did, that we can't get the full team on the field, because we still got questions about Trayvon Diggs, Overshown, and then we still don't know what Sam Williams could do, although Sam Williams has had more time to recover than anybody else. But the offense is ready, and I love what we've done to it. And Guyton may get less penalties this year because you got a new coaching staff, and Guyton won't have to hold his guys so much longer than he did last year because all we had was Rico back there. Now with Sam back there, he can get through the hole quick. So all Guyton got to do is make contact and move, just holding for a second. Running back's gone. And with the other offensive linemen giving him help, and everybody's not hurt like last year, and we don't have rookies that are trying to play all the positions next to Guyton. Now Guyton's got a little more experience, 1 year experience, more experienced players next to him, deeper offensive line while playing with him. And now Guyton's going to get new coaching to help him improve his penalties. And then he doesn't really have to hold somebody in place for more than about 2 seconds because that running back's got the legs to get through the hole.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with Guyton, that was a lot to ask, a guy to come in and start left tackle as a rookie. I mean, that's a lot. And he had some growing pains. I think you're going to see a huge leap with him. I mean, that 1 year to that second year is going to be a huge leap. And the offensive line is definitely one of the least of my worries. I wanted to highlight, because my man Dave, he tweeted this to me, I believe it was today or yesterday. And, he brought up that Schotty's changing the culture. And he said this, he reminds him of the Jimmy hire. And I've said, Jerry has always looked for his next Jimmy. Now I'm going to, like I told Washington fans, I'm going to pump the brakes. I'm not going to compare him to Jimmy Johnson yet. No. But I do see what you're saying. But Jerry has been looking, he thought that Jason Garrett was going to be his Jimmy Johnson. And then I think he had feelings that Kellen Moore was going to be his Jimmy Johnson at some point. And, and we all figured that McCarthy was kind of like that bridge to try and find either it was Kellen Moore, but then, they moved on from Kellen Moore and, things got a little weird after that. But I could see it. And I think Schotty, one of the things with Schotty is he does. If you look at the mindset of what he's bringing, listen to him talk, listen to what he's saying, listen to the actions that he's doing. I really enjoy it. And I think he is a shot in the arm to what this team needs. This team needs discipline. This team needs culture. This team needs all that kind of stuff. This, like you said, the stuff he's doing with the players in the locker room, a la reminds you, remember the Titans a little bit. But, you know, some people think that's a little hokey. I mean, these are grown men, yada, yada. Think about yourself. I'm guilty of it. I mean, I'm in business. I go to national meetings. I go to sales. I sit to the same people that I've sat with in my little group for the last 20 years. I mean, that's human nature. I don't like to be uncomfortable. I don't like when they move the seats around, and they do it sometimes to us, but eventually you talk to your person next to you and you may, you know, and I get the psychological part of it. Right. And I think that's good because you want to get these guys mixed around and get them to be one. It's like I've said it a lot, and I've seen people also talk about it. And I didn't take anyone's stuff. They took it from me because I'll go back to the archives and show it. This team has to create an us against them mentality. Yeah. Inner circle, the coach, the players, us against the media, us against the haters, us against everybody. Because the Cowboys, you see it now. You get Pickens. Pickens got all the flowers. Go look at the top 10 receivers. Go look at the rankings. He was always in there. Top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL was Metcalf and Pickens before he left. Now, all of a sudden, the Cowboys get him. The Cowboys are arguably the top 2 or 3 receiver in CeeDee Lamb. You're adding Pickens, and now they're saying, yeah, I don't know if this is like maybe top 10, maybe it's not. I mean, they're going to hate on him, and that's the nature of putting the star on, wearing the star on your helmet, right, the star on your hat, whatever it is. So that's what I love about Schotty, but that's what I think he's going to create. It's that us against them. Keep everything in the family and just go out to prove everybody wrong, you know?
Yeah, and Schotty's not a rah-rah coach, but he's smart.
No.
He's smart and he's strategic because he knows what he needs as a base plan. This is what I need as a base plan in order for me to succeed. And last year, we didn't have the base plan. This year, we got the base plan. And by him mixing and matching these folks in the locker room, like I said, I play sports. And I know when you're sitting down, if you're sitting with the same guys in the dugout or in the locker room all the time, and you're on the same side of the field, you're talking the same stuff, you don't see what's going on the other side, and you don't hear it coming from the people on the sideline that see you out there to tell you something that you can't see. With Parsons sitting next to Dak, Parsons can sit there when they just chit-chatting and getting dressed or just hanging in the locker room. He can tell him, this is what I see when you guys are out there. From the player's perspective, not just the coach's perspective. From a defensive player's perspective, the defensive leader telling the offensive leader, Dak, this is what I see when y'all out there. Now, you could take it for what it's worth, but see, I'm on defense. I know what I'm looking at if I'm coming in to tackle you. Yeah. And I see what you're doing. And if I'm on that other defensive team, what y'all doing right now is just too vanilla. I can handle that. And this is what's happened. And then Dak can say, hey, Michael, let me tell y'all what the offense is doing to you guys out there. The coaches can holler it from the box down to the coaches out in the field. They can go and tell a couple of players. But when that quarterback is sitting there and he's listening, but he's watching the defense play, and he sees how this offense is getting around Michael or the defense, Dak can say, hey, man, this is what they're doing to you. This is exactly what they're doing, because he's an offensive-minded quarterback, so he knows from the quarterback perspective what kind of mindset that other quarterback is pulling on Parsons, so he can explain it to him in that theory. And they're sitting in the locker room together, and those two perspectives coming from the opposite side of the field from the two leaders, that's going to be phenomenal. Because if it's Dak and CeeDee Lamb, all they're talking about is, man, I was open, or this is where he was in the high, and you don't get to see it from the defensive perspective. So if he's doing a lot of that in the locker room, that right there alone is automatically changing the culture in a sense, because you don't get to have the same people, the same situation in the locker room that you had in the past. He's shaking it all up. And if you do that and you bring in all these players, 30 new players, 90 players, a bunch of people going to get cut, and we lost some. But look at this. We have flipped the team. So now all these new people get to meet each other, and they bring in all their dynamics. And Pickens is coming in as that Mike. He wants to be that Michael Irvin, that voice like Michael Irvin. Now, I just want Dak I know Dak can't be like Troy because Troy has a commanding presence. But I want Dak, if he's not going to be that loud person, Dak, you have to have a commanding presence. They have to know when they see you, you mean business. And if you have something you want to mention to somebody, they know that what you're saying is no innuendo. It means this is what needs to happen. So Dak has really got to be the field commander this year on offense like he's never been before, because that's what the offense and these new players are going to be counting on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that this Dak has to take that step, because I think he's a leader. But he's a nice guy. Yeah. And, it's like I go back to those playoff games, and when him and CD were getting off at the, wrong foot and they're miscommunicating, it was McCarthy going over to CD. Mm-hmm. Dak needs to be going over to CD. And that's the step that he needs to make. He needs to be that leader on the field and be the vocal point, because he has it in him. He's a great guy. He's a great leader. So he's just got to take that next step. Sometimes he's a little too nice. Sometimes he can't. Yeah. Troy Aikman was nice, but he put a foot in your ass too if you had to. That's just the way it is. Hey, just wanted to remind everyone again, big thanks. We did hit our 4,000 subscriber, 575,000 views. So all you guys that, I know some of you guys joined in a little late. I saw Jimmy kind of comment on it. My man, Jimmy Dee. It's a big thanks to the Cowboys Cave family, Jimmy Dee, my man Kelly K9, hope feeling better. Of course, G-Reg, and all you guys in the chat and the Cowboys Cave family. And more importantly is we do our fan of the month. So don't forget, Kelly's not here to promote it. It's his deal. He runs the show. So you guys, all you got to do is DM Kelly, let him know you want to enter. You come in, you hang out in the cave. And I can tell you, we've done 3 so far. They get better and better and better. All of them have been phenomenal, but the bar keeps getting raised. And the last bar got raised with the man cave. I don't know if you saw that one, Greg, but Jesus, that man cave was unbelievable. He built it. He built a 2,000 square foot house behind his house just for his man cave. I never seen anything like it. Oh, yeah. Go back and look. I'm going to have him on the show, and you and I are going to do a show. And it's kind of behind the cave, I'm going to call it. Behind the cave. And what you do is we're going to go in, and I'll have the camera. You have your camera. And we kind of go around our man cave, and we kind of show some of the pieces of memorabilia that we have or anything. And talk about the moments. I always say everything in these rooms tells a story. There's a story always behind it. And I think I love anyone's man. It doesn't even have to be a Cowboys man cave. Just can't be an Eagles, but it could be anyone's man cave. And so I'm going to do some shows. And he was one of the guys. And you got to go back and see it. He does. It's more than Cowboys, but he does he has graphics. He has audio. It does a light show when the Cowboys score. It's intertwined with the TV.
Like a stadium almost.
It is. So I offered it, and he's taking me up on it. You know, Michael Irvin does the pregame before the game.
Right.
I'm going to do it for him, and he's going to put it on his big.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah.
Up there before the game. I'm going to get his family hyped up. But it's a tradition, and we talked about it with him, and it's with any Cowboys fan. That's why I want to do this behind the cave. It's such a family. And if we talk about football, we talk about sports. Why are you so passionate about the Cowboys? Why are you so passionate about your team? It's in your family.
It is.
It's part of your history, part of your family culture. And it's why I'm always such a passionate Cowboys fan, because the Cowboys in a weird way have done so much for me personally, for my life. I'm working in the industry that I am today because of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just because I was a fan. I was working at a hotel, and the guy staying at the hotel was a fan of the Dolphins, and we'd argue football, and you get me going on the Cowboys. You've seen it, Greg. I'll get going. We'll get hyped up. And I was a 20-year-old kid, and he's like, hey, man, if you'd move to Tampa, man, if you could sell my stuff like you sell the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to make a lot of money, and you're going to make me a lot of money too. And I took a chance. I was a 20-year-old kid, out of high school, didn't go to college. I said, well, let's roll the dice. 30 years later, here I am. Yep. And able to, so I owe a lot to the Cowboys. I mean, in a weird way, and so that's a lot of the stuff, but we're going to get into some of the stories with the fans, because that's what this channel is all about, man. It's about a bunch of Cowboy fans. We're going to disagree on some things. Greg and I, we don't always agree.
Right.
Kelly and I sure the hell don't always agree. Even though he's coming around now, he's finally listened to his voice. And Jimmy and I, we're never going to agree because he don't like any of the teams I like. But that's what it's about, man. It's about fans, and it's awesome. And appreciate, obviously, I know we got a little off subject, but just wanted to talk about that. So Bugsy is you're going to nominate Bugsy. Well, Bugsy has to put it in there, but he's a negative fan. My man Bugsy, he's a little negative. I don't know if I want him in the cave. I'm just kidding. But
a lot of people that follow the Cowboys, it's amazing because you either love the Cowboys or you hate the Cowboys, but you all follow the Cowboys. I think we are the only team among 32 that people follow us. A lot of people follow us more than they actually participate in podcasts and stuff like that of their own team. Because
100%.
You love to hate a traditional winner, an
Yes.
icon, a high visibility market team that is the epitome of the NFL. So I can see that the passion we put in the Cowboys, I can see the hateful passion they have for them, but they don't realize it still draws them to the room.
Yeah.
Always. They would rather be in a room full of Cowboys people talking smack than a room of their own team talking passion. And that's just how it is.
It's a life of a Cowboys fan, and it's what we do. And we're going to have our schedule release. It's kind of scrolling along the bottom. We're going to have our schedule release show. I believe it's on is it on a Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. The 14th is a Wednesday. It'll be 7 p.m. Dallas time. Greg, you're invited if you want to hang. Yes. We're going to be breaking down the schedule. We're going to be announcing the Cowboys Cave tailgate party will be announced that night. It'll be locked and loaded, and we'll be ready to win another Cave of the Year or Tailgate of the Year, I should say. So it'll be a lot of fun. So it's going to be great. But looking at to put a kind of bow on this offense, and next week we'll be talking some defense, and maybe the Cowboys maybe make a change or do something on defense. And you guys, Culture Cuts, that's another one I want to give a plug to. He's a great friend, and he does a YouTube channel. He shows a lot of his cuts that he does, beautiful works of art. He can do anything. He can do family portraits. He can do your favorite teams. The only thing he won't do is Eagles. He did the Gators. He almost lost a subscriber and a friend. I've seen the Gators on there, but it was a beautiful piece of work. So I can't hate on it. But he's got a great YouTube channel as well, and it's his life, man. He's an open book, and he shares stories, family, all that kind of stuff. So go out and check out his channel as well. But anyway, so looking at the offense and where it's at today, what are your expectations? I mean, where do you see this offense being in the NFL? We've got a tough schedule. I mean, that's why I tell people, it's like, you know what? We might win 10 games, maybe we win 11, but I think this team is better than any of those 12-5 teams, talent-wise. They got to prove it on paper, or prove it on the field, not on paper. But where do you see this offense, and what are your expectations of this offense?
Well, and I was going to say, our schedule this year is brutal. And I'm talking about veteran teams that win, that have established offenses, that have established offensive line experience, running back experience, wide receiver experience, quarterback elite. So we're going to be tested. The thing is, our offense has to go toe for toe. It has to be a game against somebody like the Kansas City Chiefs and stuff, to where we played when Romo was quarterbacking and Peyton came into Dallas and Denver had all blue. That game went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Both offenses were blowing it up. And it wasn't because the defenses were sorry. It's because you had two elite quarterbacks and strategic offensive play that was smart. And that's how you play. And that's what our offense has to be this year. It has to be that. Now, I understand we got a lot of young players, but that's good because these guys are coming in without having that experience of being hit a lot and being in the league 2 or 3 years where the game is faster. a lot of these rookies that come in the game now, they play like, look, man, I'm going in there to rip it up. And the first year, most of them do because they're not afraid and their confidence level is high and their speed and agility gets them where they need to go. So we need them to get on the field fast and move because the schedule we got this year reflects back to why Vegas said we'll only win 7.5 games. Because they saw our schedule and they think even with the new offense we have and the running backs and the lack of experience in both of those situations, they think that Dallas would be lucky if we win 7.5 games. But I think we're going to obviously win more than 7.5. But I want that training camp to meld and get the culture so integrated that when the season starts, this offense is ready because we can't be a system that's in the making during the season. It has to be ready coming out the gate because none of these teams we're playing are coming in here to roll over. This is a brutal, brutal schedule this year. Yeah. And if this offense plays to their potential, mainly Dak, if Dak gets his confidence back, and if somebody like Lamb come to the sideline and Dak just gives them that stare instead of walking off, because the reason why I think Dak did that a lot and he let CeeDee Lamb intimidate him a lot, because I think Dak was lacking some confidence in his game the way he was playing last year. And he
didn't play that well.
And he probably felt like, who am I to tell CD to get his act together when I'm looking like garbage out there? But Dak has got to pull all that off to the side because that play is gone. Dak, you got to understand, these people look for you as a leader. Even when they come to you with garbage, they're expecting you to shut them down. They really want you to shut them down so they can have confidence that you mean business. And when you get on the field, you ain't playing around. And they want that. But if you don't shut them down and you let them intimidate you, you're not the leader we need. So Dak has got to be the strongest this season as a leader that he's ever been before with the schedule that we're playing, because everybody's expecting Dak to be so mature this time that this year is Dak's season to go deep in the playoffs. So it's really offensive players, all the weapons we got on defense and offense. I'm telling you, if that field general comes out with the biggest, boldest level of confidence as a field commander, things are going to happen for us this year.
Yeah. And I would tell you what I want from this offense is the identity I want this offense to be is just smash mouth. I want them to be maulers. I want them to be intimidators. I don't need, and I know we got Pickens and I think it's great. And we got CD. I don't need Dak to throw for 5,000 yards.
Oh no.
I want us to control the clock. I want us to run, and I want the team to know we're going to run. Remember them old Cowboy days? Yeah. You know, we're telling you we're running, try and stop us. I think with the offensive line and the running back styles that they have, I think they can do that. And then you make them hurt. Then you hit them with the pass and you become dangerous. I want to see this a physical team. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that the Cowboys have been lacking for a number of years is physicality. Whenever we went up against the bully, we got bullied.
Yeah, we should.
Right? Think about some of these games where the teams punch us in the mouth, when it was in the 49ers, come to mind mostly, but the Bills that one year. We need to bully them, and a running game cures all. Mm-hmm. And we got the offensive line, and we got the running back trio, or what's four? What's four? I don't know. Quad, whatever. We got that. We got four running backs. If they want to go that way, and I think there's going to be an odd man out. I think Sanders might be the odd man out there, but we'll see. But they've got the ability to be a physical football team. Their offensive line. Listen to Booker talk. If you heard Guy, when you talk to him, Tyler Smith, even Hoffman, BB, Steele's kind of quiet, so I'm not going to throw him in there. But you got guys in there that are mean, that mean business. Then you throw in Pickens, who has he plays with attitude.
Yeah.
And as long as it's controlled aggression, I mean, we can't have penalties. We can't have him getting kicked out of games or anything like that. But I need a dog on that field. I'm fine with that. I'll take him playing on the edge sometimes, as long as Dak as the leader can reel him in. CD, leader, reel him in, calm him down. It was the same thing to Tony Romo and Des Bryant. Tony Romo always had a way to get to Des Bryant. He reeled him in. Des Bryant never was a problem. He never was a guy that got a bunch of penalties and would act crazy, but he was an emotional player. And I think you need that. Michael Irvin, emotional player, but Troy Aikman could reel him in. And I think that's the job of the quarterback, is to be able to reel his guys in. But I need him to play with an edge. So that's really what I want to see from this offense. I don't need him to, I know we could put up 50, but I don't need him to. I want them to demoralize that defense that they're going up against. Like you said, the schedule's going to be tough. So.
And I want to see the more of a running game, because when I see a successful running game, I know we're going to get a lot of wins, and I know we're going to be successful, because when you run, no matter how you look at it, the defense has to play honest. And when you run successfully, they come up. They come up. And that's what the receivers are looking at the chops for. And when they come up, and boom, we bust them. Now they got to go back, because they say, oh, they got the weapons. And when they go back, we run. And then when they come up, we pass. So Shotty has got to set the tone with the wide receivers coaches, and the wide receivers say, listen, my goal is to establish one hell of a running game. My goal is to establish one hell of an offensive line like we had back there during the Aikman times. Because if I get an offensive line like that and we got somebody back here running the ball, I'm going to run it until we can't run again. Yes. You guys are going to get your touches. You're going to get your touches. But you got to understand, I want to win, and I cannot win if I don't have a successful running game, because I need a way to keep the defense honest. Make the defense play everybody on defense in every position, and not just play for the – if you're just playing for the pass because that team doesn't have a running game, you beat them. If you're just playing for the running game because the team doesn't have passes, you beat them. And the players' confidence on defense is so high because they know you're one-dimensional. But when they know that they got to play you in every position is smart, that's a task. That is a serious task. And the running game in the NFL, you can go back to the no-face guard team. The running game in the NFL is the creme de la creme. You establish that, you can beat anybody and compete with anybody. So I'm going to be looking to see how our offensive line protects and blocks for Dak to give him the time he needs, how they open up holes and gaps for the run game. And if that's successful, and it's got to be far more decent than it was last year, if that's successful, when those weapons come off those ends, Turpin, Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson, Tolbert, Flournoy, Mingo, good Lord. Man, it is going to be lights out. And they're going to be on the sideline talking about, man, who you got? Well, I got CD. Now I'm going to try to get Pickens. I'm going to try to get Mingo. What about Ferguson? Oh, yeah, we got to get that beast. What about Turpin? Man, ain't nobody over here fast enough to get Turpin. If they put Turpin in the slot with CD and Pickens on the field at the same time.
Absolutely.
Ooh, all Turpin has to do is run straight up the middle past the linebackers. Because these two right here are going to keep everybody honest. The safety can't keep up with Turpin. And then if they do, for some reason, he can let it off to Ferguson or a running back in the backfield. That's what I want to see. I want to see us get back to that multi-dimensional offense that we had. Because last year, winning 7 games with a one-dimensional team and half the team handicap, that was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give the Cowboys credit.
Yeah.
7 games and just seconds away, 1 play away, actually 2 plays away one in each game from winning 9 games.
Absolutely.
With all that damage and pain, hurt, and no running game. And the defense was suffering, hurting too. So this year, we should definitely be out there competing in the NFC East. And it's not going to be easy in the NFC East either, because everybody in the NFC East, with the exception of the Giants, who drafted well, but we don't know what it's going to look like on the field.
Mark. Yeah. Question mark. Hey, I wanted because they asked, and I do appreciate it. Greg and I were talking, so my nephew did have his game It looks like they're going to go to a third and deciding game. My nephew pitched well, pitched into the fifth inning, and it was a 2-1 ball game. And in the later innings, I think the fifth or the sixth inning, the team they were playing, West Broward, had bases loaded, and the guy hit a bomb, and it's baseball, and they ended up losing. So they are going to a deciding game 3, but I think they'll beat them. And it's the crazy thing is they've played West Broward. That's the 6th game they played. The first 5 they beat them every time. So you know how it goes. When you play that team, they've played them a lot lately because of the playoffs and this and that. So they did get them. But my nephew pitched great, and I will say I appreciate you, DC, for asking. My nephew actually got invited to a Major League Baseball, the Florida State All-Stars, which the Major League Baseball promotes, and all their scouts are there, and he got picked as one of the pitchers on the team. So great honor for him. Couldn't be prouder of him, and I think they'll take care of business tomorrow. They'll make sure they get to states. They've won 4 in a row. They're going for 5. And Greg, you're Floridian. Baseball's big here, and to win 5 in a row, state championships, you got a pretty damn good baseball team.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So I wish their team a lot of luck tomorrow. I will be checking it out, and man, keep fingers crossed that they make it so I can head down to Fort Myers and watch them play. I think it's not next week. It's because it's the week after, I think it is. So anyway, but yeah, so I didn't mean to get sidetracked on that. I did see a question. We're talking about, could they do some stuff, maybe get Hoffman? I think Hoffman needs to be on the field at some point. I love him, and I don't think he's going to give his job up so quickly, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, could you see the Cowboys doing any trickery and maybe having 6 offensive linemen out there? I could see that for short yardage. I'm not a huge gimmick guy when you've got the weapons the Cowboys have. I mean, I'd much rather them throw the ball to Pickens or CD or Ferguson than an offensive lineman. But, it'll be interesting to see what Schotty brings. Because you've listened to him, Greg, and I know you guys in the chat have paid close attention. He reminds me of his father. He definitely has some of his dad in him in the way that he kind of his approach to family's important. Schottenheimer, his dad, his teams are always like family. I mean, LT, the words that he said, about Schottenheimer and the impact he had on his life. I mean, and that's just one of hundreds that he did. But listen to him closely. He is very respectful of McCarthy, but he is very honest and said, hey, there were things that I didn't agree with, but he's the head coach, and his word is the final word, and I respected that. But there are things that I would do different. So I think he's coming in, doing it his way. And like he said, there's going to be times on his staff that they may not agree. But at the end of the day, the buck's going to stop with him. And but he will listen to everyone. I think he's he just exudes probably the right coach for this team. And I think this is the kind of coach that this team and really this organization may need, because he's had a very good way of kind of moving the noise out. You know what I mean? He doesn't get caught up. McCarthy lost his cool a few times. The media got to him a little bit. Some of that got to him. I don't see Schotty as being that kind of guy. He's kind of rolling off. He's focused on the team and the task at hand more than anything. And I think it's been a pleasant surprise. And I know we got a lot of heat, and a lot of people gave him a lot of heat when the Cowboys hired him. But, again, maybe this might be kudos to the Jones family for doing the right thing. I guess time will tell. But
yeah, and the thing about Schotty is he had the opportunity to sit behind McCarthy. He had the opportunity to sit at the drone level and watch what was going on from a very experienced and a good coach, a great coach, and Mike McCarthy. And he saw some things that Mike was doing that were still in the old school repertoire that Mike didn't want to let go. Mike, in that year away from football, when he went and got his little camp thing and got these coaches in there and was reevaluating what he would do if he came back, that was fine. But look at all the coaches he had in there with him. These are semi-old school coaches, and he was using the old school methods, but trying to integrate a few current strategic methods with it. But he kept sticking to his old school ways, like he did at Green Bay, and the game changed. Well, Schotty had the opportunity because he didn't. It's not like we went and hired Schotty from another team or he came from somewhere else. Schotty was on our staff, behind Mike, looking down from the drone level as an offensive coordinator, but Mike was calling the plays. Schotty saw some things that, Mike called that. I would have done this different, blah, blah, blah. But that's how it is. Everybody see different. Schotty's younger. Schotty is on that level mindset of where the game is today, not where the game was yesterday, and try to keep a lot of that and integrate it. No, where the game is today and then move forward with it. And by sitting behind McCarthy the way he did for that year, the couple of years, and sitting there and watching McCarthy and watching the staff and watching the players and seeing what we really need. And if he were coaching, this is what he would take. And the things we don't see, we don't hear about, is when they leave the stadium, they go home, and the weeks in between, these coaches talk to other coaches, not to hate on things, but these coaches talk to other coaches who are friends of theirs on other teams strategically about different things. Schotty did because he followed his father's blueprint. His father was a nick away from being super great with the teams that he coached.
Bad plays at the worst time.
And so for some reason, just couldn't get over that hump. But his son is a chip off the old block in a different aspect in the modern day. So I wasn't sure about Schotty when he got hired because I was like, well, who is Schotty? But then I had to stop and think, wait, Greg, you're thinking that low-hanging fruit. You want somebody well-known out there like we used to customly getting somebody coming in, a North Turner or somebody. No. Look at these teams that are winning. The Siriannis, look at the guys in 49ers and Green Bay and all. These guys, they're the chip off the old block, some of them from their fathers, but they weren't established head coaches. They came in and brought in that new vision from where the game is. And they said, if I did it, this is what I'm going to do. Balls out. And that's what Schotty's going to do. But Schotty is not going to come out there and have to scream at anybody. Schotty's just like, I could see somebody yelling at Schotty about something and Schotty's smiling, but not like he's trying to be arrogant. Schotty's like, well, you got a point. But see, this is what I see. Because Schotty's going to be attuned to what he sees. He's not just making this stuff up. So I think what Schotty puts out on the field is going to be a very competitive team, and the team has to buy in it. But like you said, the very first thing we need to see is that culture change. If we see that culture change, that sideline where they're over there like, boy, then we know we're starting to get the Cowboys back like we had 30 years ago when everybody on the sideline was in the same culture. Yes. And of course, we brought a lot of people from the Hurricanes to Miami, and those boys already had built the culture. They just added it to the Cowboys.
Yeah, they didn't bring any Canes. I've been bitching to them, and they didn't do it this year. Pissed me off.
But yeah, man, that culture change and Schotty is probably just what we need right now. He's going to be. Every barrel is going to be fully loaded with all the weapons he needs. Yeah,
and the culture that we talk about, and if you guys ever if you're old school and listened to the Cave for the last couple years, once we got started, did a lot of interviews, and we're going to do some more. But James Washington talked about it, and that's what I'm talking about, the culture. What James Washington said, and he was 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Cowboys, but they were more afraid or more worried about making mistakes because of the accountability that the players were given. And you're talking about Jimmy Johnson. They were more worried about if James Washington said, hey, if I missed a tackle, I got to hear Michael Irvin. Now I got to go explain to him why I missed it. And if Michael Irvin dropped a pass, he's going to be coming to sideline, and we're going to be asking him, you need to catch that damn ball. Why'd you drop it? That's what we're talking about, culture change. It's accountability and discipline. Most penalized team the last few years. They got to that just kills a team, kills a drive. that's the culture change. It's not, in the culture that maybe you guys are thinking, but to me, it's the culture change of accountability, discipline, and they got to create that us against them mentality and that toughness, that swag. And that's what I want to see. And if they get that, then I think there's no doubt there's talent on this team. I mean, I don't care. And, the interesting thing with Eberflus is I did not realize, but then when I was kind of looking up his history as defensive coordinator, obviously with the Colts, he had a top 10 defense, run defense all 4 years, and he didn't have a bunch of superstars on that defense. But the offensive coordinator was Nick Sirianni. I did not know that.
And
they're tied together, so it'll be interesting to see how they scheme up against each other this year.
And the funny thing about the culture is, first of all, some people are good at being defensive coordinator, and that's it. And
absolutely,
it's just like anything else, even baseball or something. When we played, the people like how you are on the field, and then decide to make you the coach. Well, and all of a sudden, you're not as good of a coach as you are as that player. And Eberflus is not as good as a head coach as he is defensive coordinator. And for my cousin, who's a diehard Chicago fan from when they used to wear the leather helmets, and he talks about the championships, he told me, he said, Greg, I'm telling you, man, Eberflus is not a head coach, but you are going to love him on a defensive coordinator. He is powerful as a defensive coordinator. But let's get back to the culture. Here's the difference that I worry about establishing that culture with the Dallas Cowboys. Back when we had that culture with the Michael Irvins and all them, the game wasn't more about business. The game wasn't more about podcasts, your brand, the media. It wasn't no TikToks and all that other stuff. These players played because their brand was their name. Their brand was what I do on the field. And they were, like you said, they were held accountable to each other. When I played sports, I didn't care about what the coach said. It was more about what my peers said if I made a mistake or something. I know what the coach was going to say. And back then, you didn't have all these obstacles and all these distractions. If you notice, the evolution of the game has changed. It has become more of a business where it's a brand that these guys are promoting. Yeah, they had commercials and contracts back then, but if they had a Nike commercial or something, that was mainly it. There was no social media. Now, it's more like I'm making the money, I'm in the league, and their agents now are more like used car salesmen. Okay, now that you made the Cowboys and you got this money, we need to get you on the podcast, we need to get you on TikTok, we need to get you on this, we need to get you a brand. There's more about these brands and more about your brand in the business than focusing on the game. And these are young kids. These are young kids. It's low-hanging fruit and it's money and it's popular. So when they get in that, sometimes they lose their way. And when you try to establish that culture in the locker room, this guy over here is worrying about his bling. He's worrying about he's getting calls in the locker room while he's preparing for a game. Hey, so-and-so wants to call and see if you can do so-and-so with this and we can get some money or some of this and that. Or look, man, what do you think about this brand? Michael Irvin wasn't getting them calls in the locker room. Deion Sanders and Aikman weren't getting those kind of calls back then. The social media wasn't around. So the culture and the pureness of playing football was the pureness of playing football when they grew up and they got in the NFL and they played it that way. Now, in college, they play it that way because they weren't getting meals before and they weren't getting that money. So they focus. Now they're in the NFL. And soon as they get in that NFL and they make it, here comes all these other distractions. And I'm hoping that the Daks, the Pickens, a few other experienced people on team, and the coaching staff, because now they have more classes on a lot of different things to integrate these players into what goes on around football that you need to be aware of that they didn't have then. And I'm hoping when they integrate that, they really emphasize, like in a TED Talk almost, listen, guys, back in the day, this was the focus. Now, this is the focus. And we don't mind you doing this. But we need your main focus to be on winning because this is about winning championships. And if you do this right, all this is going to automatically come because whether you win or lose, when you leave the field, those calls are still coming. So when you get in that locker room, we need that culture on this team. And look at the teams that have been successful doing it. And one thing about the teams being successful doing it, Kansas City, Philadelphia, those, You don't hear much about their brands, do you? You don't hear
Not
much
a
about
ton.
those. You don't hear much about their brands because they do it quietly and make their money. But
Well,
the
Dallas is
Cowboys-
never going to be quiet.
No, and the Cowboys is always visible because it's a star. And Pickens loves putting that star on. Every NFL player, period, would love the opportunity to put that star on their helmet. And Pickens is so excited about that star, his interview, about everything you want to hear from a player. Didn't sound scripted like that.
Yes.
It was from the heart. He meant it, and he's ready. And Dak get that energy like he's getting, because all the successful quarterbacks we had, with the exception of Danny White, who didn't have to raise his voice, they had that. They had that. And Dak, you got the talent, but I need you to get that. And don't get on the sideline and get timid. Get out there and show it. You got your money now, so you don't have to play for that. Get out there and show it. Romo even did it. Romo, like you said, Romo would tell Dez, he'll let Dez just holler all he wants. He wouldn't even look like this, like McNabb used to look at Owens. Romo would just sit there, kind of smile, and he get through, and Romo say, listen. He had a way of talking to Dez, and Dez go, hey, he makes some good damn sense. And then Dez would walk back to his corner. That's what Dak needs to do with Lamb. Because Lamb's intimidation of Dak got in Lamb's head, got in Dak's head, and Dak, I think, sometimes tried to compensate by trying to throw the ball to Lamb when Lamb wasn't even open. And Lamb not even expecting to run his routes the way he's supposed to anymore because he wasn't expecting Dak to get him the ball. And between the two, they were just polar opposites.
Yeah, it's amazing that one training camp or whatever it was, it had to have been more than that. But hopefully they got it back. But like you said, I think the offense, I think sky's the limit, and I love what they've done. And more importantly, I love you guys hanging out in the cave. It's been great. Got 350 plus of you guys hanging in here. So make sure, before I ask one more time, hit that subscribe. If you're just checking out the cave and you're still trying to figure it out, what are you waiting on? Get on there and hit that thumbs up, man. Thumbs up on the show if you guys enjoyed it, because it does help out, man. It doesn't, and it don't cost you nothing, man. All this shit's free. We're the only ones spending money, but we love doing it. We love hanging out with you guys, and it's good. So we've been kicking it for over an hour, and I had a long flight, and I got home, so I got to work tomorrow, man. Isn't that crazy? They make me work. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this country, Greg? I should be able to stay home.
I got to work at not working tomorrow. Hey, but one last thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Last thing real quick. Typically, when we make a trade like this or something like this, when this type of season, and you see all the Cowboy groups on Facebook, TikTok, and all this, you get about a 60-40 mix. 60 40 they hating on it. It's been 90 plus love it in the Cowboys nation, and that is a good sign.
Yeah, we've been starving for a wide receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb since Amari Cooper. And so it is the best thing that's happened to this offense. It's a shot in the arm. I think the running game, I think everything with this offense is set up to be very successful, and hopefully they do get that identity. And I think, we've talked in the chat and we've talked on the show, is just maulers. We got maulers on that offensive line. Get back to that humiliating and just burying guys and playing nasty football. So I love we got some playmakers. And you're right there, Rick.
Yes.
We got playmakers. We
Yes.
talked about Blue. We talked about Pickens, obviously CeeDee Lamb. We got the playmakers. So we're going to be back next week. We got our live shows, probably maybe drop some shows if anything else happens. It's kind of that quiet time. I am working on a couple interviews, so we're going to try and get some Cowboys in here to kind of maybe share some stories, have some fun. So definitely check it out. We will have our live schedule release show. I think it's Wednesday they release the schedule. We know who we're playing. We just want to know when, what time, and who we opening with. And more importantly, when the hell is the Cowboys Cave tailgate party going to be so we can make it bigger and better than ever before, because it grows and grows. So, Greg, I definitely appreciate you coming in. It's always good to have you on the cave. And, especially short notice. Kelly's been, I guess he's not feeling well. He's been partying, celebrating a little too much.
Well, Kelly.
He's not.
I saw him in his car. I saw him in his car going off how happy he was. He was resurrected.
And what happened to Kelly? I said, Kelly, I mean, what the hell? I've been listening to you bitch and moan about this damn team, and all of a sudden you're back on the train. I like it, but don't get off the train.
Yeah, don't
That's
get
the
off.
thing. Don't get off the train. You're on the train. They ain't getting off because you get off, ain't get back on. That's why I put that tweet out. All you guys bitch and moan about this team all you want, but come opening day, we ride. We ride with those guys, and those 53 guys that are on that roster. That's who we're riding with. And if you ain't riding with it, then just step aside, move out of the way, because I believe in the players. I'll always believe in the players that line up and represent the Dallas Cowboys. That are never going to change for me. So It has nothing to do with ownership. It has nothing to do with any of that bullshit. Those guys that lay it out there and represent the Dallas Cowboys and represent the fans, I expect them to win, and I'm going to support them 100% every time. So, Greg, I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for the 4,000 subscribers that we hit that number. I looked, and we're over 410. So we're getting closer and closer to 5,000. That's the next goal, and for you guys to get those tickets. So I appreciate it. Greg, thank you. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Be safe. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.